Halpert from Dunder Mifflin Incorporated Scranton branch scored big wins both on-screen and off-screen, if you know what I mean. He also stumbled into a script from Brian Woods and Scott Beck of a post-apocalyptic horror thriller when the scriptwriters were hoping Krasinski's wife Emily Blunt to star in it. Actually, Blunt might have pushed the project for her hubby to helm the directorial post, and John Krasinski gave us a memorable alien invasion movie that formed a sort of a cultural zeitgeist, and with the key plot point of staying extremely quiet, was an ingenious way to build tension whether you watch in the theatre or wherever you watch the movie. The fact about the alien creature being blind but possessed uncanny hearing and incredible speeds, and the unorthodox way to get rid of them was a major selling point. But hot on the heels of the first season of Netflix Stranger Things, the creature design was a bit too similar to the Demogorgon. With the critical and box office success of A Quiet Place, Paramount Pictures was quick to greenlight a sequel which, despite being postponed in release due to the COVID-19 pandemic, A Quiet Place 2 was considered a success in all aspects, leading to the studio rousing to build an entire franchise with spin-off films. This led to A Quiet Place Day 1, conceived by director Michael Samosky and John Krasinski and directed by Samosky himself. After the cult success of his film Pig with Nicolas Cage from 2021. As the title implied, we have a War of the Worlds style insight of the moment Earth got invaded, and the graphic nature of the catastrophe was put on show. And guess which city in the world they had chosen to show the unadulterated destruction? Yes, it was New York City. After being treated as a playground for the likes of Godzilla and King Kong, being zapped by aliens in Independence Day, as well as frozen all over in Day After Tomorrow and the recent Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, the Big Apple was also a convenient location for these nimble and ruthless extraterrestrial creatures to make their mark. The change in the scenery to a metropolis where we see the attack in the urban jungle was somewhat novel, and we see how the human population tried to stay in total silence in an usually noisy backdrop. The long limbs of these aliens sauntering down the facade of the high-rise buildings somehow was a fuel for nightmare for me. There were some intriguing set pieces, like in the subway station, and the rest point in a ruined church was a nice respite. That said, the ambient sound all around the city might be a good masking for survivors to dodge the invading aliens. There were two visuals in the movie that I felt director Samosky non-discreetly positioned to highlight monumental events for New York City. Firstly, the dust-covered protagonist joining other distraught survivors, wandering the chaotic streets, reminded me of the immediate aftermath of the 9/11 attack. Secondly, when the characters were quietly moving on the almost silent street, does it not echo what had happened at the lockdown during the pandemic? The story surrounds Samira, played by the brilliant Lupita Nyong'o, a terminally ill patient living in a hospice and counting down her days of mortality. A trip to Manhattan to watch a marionette show was the brink of the craziness as Sam and her companion, a cat called Frodo, would start an arduous journey, very much draw parallel to carrying a ring to Mount Doom. It was ironic for someone like Sam to possess a will to survive when she knew she did not have much time left. Yet there was an instinct in her to help others as much as she could, and in many instances, she showed that she was not a warm people's person to begin with. The two previous installments of A Quiet Place was anchored by a strong female performance in the form of Emily Blunt, and this trend continued with Nyong'o's majestic performance as a pillar of strength that is the protagonist despite odds being stacked against her. There was a particular scene which see Samira shrivel in agony as her illness was decimating her while the world's fate was hanging on the balance. That really got to me. It was complete opposite to her performance in Jordan Peele's Us. In the supporting roles, we have a guy who was in full office wear the entire time running for safety, with the tie nicely knotted in position. Eric, played by Joseph Quinn, who I did not immediately notice as the fan favourite rocker dude, Eddie Munson from the 4th season of Stranger Things, was like a cross between Brendan Fraser and Mark Zuckerberg, but I thought there was a natural chemistry between him and Nyong'o. The next meaty role was Ruben, who was Sam's guardian from the hospice, played by Alex Wolff, similarly unrecognizable from his wretched time in Ari Aster's Hereditary. Finally, we have Jimon Hounsou, which I had to apologize for not knowing that he was reprising his role from A Quiet Place 2, which tells you how much that sequel left a mark in my memory. But when we talk about the limited supporting cast, we cannot not talk about Frodo the cat. Our feline friend, who many online felt was totally unrealistic for not making any meowing or purring sound and not startled by all these out-of-the-world creatures. Well, unlike dogs, cat training can be a bit more of an obstacle, and I guess when the choice was made to go for a cat as the unlikely companion for Samira, they just went with what had been transpired on screen. That said, I was highly entertained by the too cool for school attitude, and the cat was front and center for a long time in the plot. A Quiet Place Day 1 generally was what many would claim to be middle of the road. It really did not add much to the franchise, while it was competently made with a strong performance from Nyong'o that really helped when there was a lull in the plot. The set pieces were interesting and did not overstay its welcome, and it is a good movie to just watch on a date night or with a group of friends on the streaming platform. I am awarding this movie 7 out of 10, and I would not mind more content from this franchise until it ran its course as usual. Please like and share this video if you could, and subscribe to this channel for more heretics about horror movies and series from KK. Check out my recent review of Joko Anwar's Nightmares and Daydreams, streaming on Netflix. Now, let's keep absolutely quiet, if not the aliens will come for us.